Reddit. How did that person in your class become rich? Story 1. Started online gambling sites back in the 90s. Dropped out of high school. Millionaire by 20. Overdosed by 25. Story 2. Sim for me. My friend wrote code for the online sites that was really good in some way. Beats me how I'm no programmer. And they paid him through the nose for it. Next step, he modified the code to work for stock market prediction, and he runs a hedge fund. Owns like 8 houses in 6 diff countries and his own jet. I'm smart, but not in that specific kind of way. I'd be jealous, except he was a good, nice dude before and remains. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, and it was all through work and smarts. Story 3. A girl from my hometown won an island on a Mr. Beast video. It was worth millions. She's in the process of selling it currently. Until that money comes through, she's just living life like normal. I imagine that must be a great place to be in, knowing most of your problems are about to disappear, but not yet overly intoxicated by money. Story 4. Guy that I grew up hit big with Crocs. His family moved away when I was about 6th grade, but my older brother remains friends with his older brother. I guess the guy worked selling insurance and was offered an opportunity to invest in Crocs, the weird shoes. He went for it and got a few checks back in the $5 to $10 million range. I learned this through my brother, and I think it is true. Story 5. I went to school with a kid that was all in on Bitcoin from the get-go. He was a hustler out of the womb and held 2 jobs along with a couple different side hustles. He didn't have much in the way of a social life, so he invested probably 75% of his income. He was buying Bitcoin when it was like $1. He went on to buy a number of gas stations, /convenience stores, and apartment buildings. He went from a McDonald's fry cook to buying and selling classic cars as a hobby. Story 6. One of my former co-workers did something fairly similar. When he upgraded to new servers, we were self-hosting. He asked our owner if he could use the old ones to mine BTC. The owner said it was fine as long as he took them home to do it. Similarly to the kid in your story, he also spent some of his income buying up BTC. Between the years it moved from $1.10 to $200 per coin, and then also was part of some BTC trading thing online. Fast forward to 2019, he sells off most of it at $16K per coin. He wouldn't tell our friend group, mostly old colleagues, how much exactly, except to confirm it was more than 1,000 coins. He did pay taxes on all of it. Still bought a giant house outside of Boulder and now travels all over and is getting a PhD for fun. Obviously, he could have held longer, but I think he was just tired of obsessing over its value bouncing all over the place when he already had more than enough to retire comfortably in his mid-30s. Story 7. He started studying solar technology in '88 and now owns a solar installation company in Texas and one in California. He employs close to 200 people. I don't know how rich he is, but I'm really familiar with where he came from and what he overcame to do it all. The guy was constantly reading and tinkering with anything solar-related. Even when we were in high school, edit. The main reason I knew about his interests was because from about 7th grade on through till we were seniors, we always sat side by side in every class we had together because our last names were the same, but we weren't related. Story 8. Lecturer of mine rode the IT wave at exactly the right time and had a damn fine head for business. He was a workaholic at age 30, started a business offering remote tech support, which was a new idea at the time, signed on some super big clients who were enamored of the idea, and built a giganto house from the proceeds that pissed everyone off. Sold the business and then died of a heart attack at 45 or so, though. So, yeah, there can be complications. Story 9. This may not sound believable because random Redditor, but my grandfather knew Bill Gates fairly well before Microsoft got big. Both him and my dad had chances to buy into it when it was still basically nothing. Neither of them did. My grandfather was decently well off. My dad, not so much. Could have made my life a hell of a lot different than it has been. Story 10. He dropped out of high school at 15 to be a pro skateboarder. People laughed. He's now worth 50 mile. Story 11. Smart guy. A little socially awkward, but was a swimmer and in top classes. Went to UCLA, became a doctor, maybe a surgeon. Started to play the stock market for fun. Ran a bulletin board to talk stocks. Turns out he had Asperger and was able to read the stock market signs really well. Made $300M when the market crashed as he bet against it. Christian Bale played him in the movie about him. The Big Short Mike Burry, class of 1989. We knew each other. Not friends, but acquainted. Couldn't be happier for the guy. Truly happy he's done well. Not seen him since we graduated. If I did, I'd totally and jokingly ask him for some cash. I'd try to make him laugh. He'd probably still be awkward. Story 12. Not my close friend, but a kid in my English class. Really fucking smart kid. He entered a coding robotics competition and got 3rd place. He was pretty bummed out for a while. First prize was a scholarship for a pretty big university, and 3rd place got a lousy 500 Bitcoin. He kept the 500 Bitcoin despite people telling him to cash it and get the $100 or whatever it was worth. Anyway, he cashed it at the peak of Bitcoin and is now living pretty fucking well with his $30 mil. Story 13. The best wealth story I ever heard was a nerdy computer guy, early internet adopter, realized things like Vancouver.com or Paris.com would be valuable. So he bought up all the City.com websites he could and just had a landing page that said, "Page for sale, contact me, bada bing bada boom." Story 14. High fashion male modeling. He was always jetting off to Europe for fashion shows during the school year. He's now Instagram famous. It must pay well because he lives a lavish lifestyle. He is conventionally attractive but did nothing for me. Think beautiful landscape painting. His average height, non-male model best friend, on the other hand, was the most popular, desirable guy at our school. That guy had so much charisma. It's no surprise that he went on to be an actor. There was another male model classmate. Really hot, definitely not a painting. He recently just got released from prison for dealing drugs over redacted. Never would have guessed it, dude was so soft-spoken and vanilla. Then again, I'm reminded of how he wanted to live large and be a baller. He got his wish for a few years, that is. His mugshot was wild. He totally got high on his own supply. My school was by the sea in a city where everyone is obsessed with looks and having a beach body year-round. The rich and famous flock there, so it's not unusual to see insanely good-looking people on the daily. Story 15. I've got 2. One guy was extremely gifted in music. I remember my dad going to the talent show and said this guy is going to be the next Jimi Hendrix. Well, not quite. But he has performed plenty of times with Lady Gaga. His name is Ricky Tillo. The other guy did voices in high school all the time. He would hop on the PA system and do cartoon voices. He was recently in the Mario movie as Toad General and is literally the new voice of Bugs Bunny and a ton of other popular cartoon guys. Eric Bauza. Story 16. Hot girl. She married a ridiculously rich guy. Had 2 kids with him, then left him and took half his money plus child support. Married another ridiculously rich guy, left him and took half his money. Currently gets alimony and child support from 2 different guys. Constantly changes her name on her Facebook profile to try a new one on, even though she's pushing 50 now. Story 17. I did vocational high school, which is the lowest education in my country next to mentally disabled education. Most kids end up as a cleaning woman, a factory worker, or doing volunteer work while getting supported by disability benefits like me. Now there's this one kid who got very rich after he left high school. He has a huge farmhouse, expensive cars, and he all achieved this by starting a company where he sells expensive horse breeds on his farm. His parents were also rich, so I think that's also a good start. But he managed to pay most of it by himself and became a businessman. Story 18. Sold fake Magic the Gathering cards, then sold duped items on Diablo. Sold his Star Wars Galaxies account when he was one of the first to get Jedi status. Then he opened a legit hard apple cider company, also parents' money, and married well.